Okay, so we are going to go over just a quick example of how to do your sales tax return. So this is my gateway that I use for South Carolina to do my sales tax return. So you see under here, when I sign in, it has sales and use tax. I just click on that. Now you'll have to check for your state, but the actual return part itself should be pretty much the same. So I'm just going to click to file my return. So when you first start out, if you don't have any sales, you can go ahead and do it so that you're filing all zeros. And then it will go ahead and it will just file it as a zero. But I'm actually going to walk you through some of what I do. So we will just look at one of my sites. So we'll look at Etsy. So when I come to my Etsy, you go to Finances. So you go to Finances, Payment Account. And then down here at the bottom, you can download payment history. So this will create a file that you can use in Excel. So I just want to do February of 2018. I want to do orders and then click on download CSV. Okay, so once I have downloaded the CSV file, then I can go to my spreadsheet program and I can open it. So if you do not have Excel, I will tell you that a great program to download, and it's free, is called Apache Open Office. So you can go and download Apache Open Office. It has a word processor, it has a spreadsheet application, and it's free. So, you know, when you're working on your business, you want to save as much money as you can on things. So I just come over to my downloads. And there it is right there. So you can always click on this date modified to find the newest files that you have. A CSV file into your spreadsheet application, you need to pick, there we go. So tab and comma are the best ones to select, because what it's going to do is it's going to look for breaks in your information. So you see here you have your sale date, your order ID, your users, the payment method. There's a lot more information on here than you need, but as an example, so I'll say okay. I'm just going to delete those out. So I don't need to know who it is, and I don't need to know their address. So, whoops. So I just delete those out. So what I'm looking for is, I am looking for South Carolina. So there's a couple ways that you can do this. You can click on this cell here, right click, and insert a row, and then highlight all of this information. Let's see if we have it all. Yep. And then what you can do is click on data, and we're going to sort by column G. So that's our state. So it sorted it. And so now I'm just going to go down and look for anyone in South Carolina. So I don't have to pay sales tax on any of those that are not in South Carolina. So it looks like for February, I don't have any. So I don't have to pay sales tax on any of the sales that I made on Etsy in February. Once I'm finished with this spreadsheet, I will just save it. It's a good idea just to save it. And you want to save it as, it's easier to save it as Microsoft Excel, because if you ever have to send it to someone, they will be able to open it. Okay. So I've completed that part. So I know I've already calculated what I'm going to have to pay sales tax on for my sales in February. So what I do is I come over here and I'm going to put in just the revenue related to South Carolina, since that's what my state requirement is. So that's what I sold just in South Carolina. I don't have any out-of-state purchases that are subject to use tax. And then this is what I have to pay. So Lexington is where I live, and so what I do is I put in my sales there. I click next. Okay, so when I go to the next page, this is where I put in my information. So the same thing, I'm just putting my sales in. I'll go to next. This will calculate out what I have to pay. I just go to next. And this will calculate the total amount that I owe for my sales tax return. And then I can just click submit. I'm not going to submit it right now because I actually have not finished calculating everything out, but this will give you an idea of how you fill out your sales tax. It's very easy. All you have to do is get your sales that are in your state and just enter that number, and you can round it. You have to round up, and it will be just fine. So most sales tax will give you a discount if you file it early. They are usually due 20 days after the end of the month. So all you have to do is go in. So for February, I have to do this by March 20th. This is not difficult to do. Don't feel intimidated by it. If you're just selling online, you're not going to have a lot of complications that some companies have with doing sales tax. It's pretty straightforward, and there's no reason why you can't buy wholesale and do this yourself. Okay, so the next thing, once we have covered sales tax, the next thing I want to talk to you about is preparing for your income tax at the end of the year. So it's very important that you keep up with all of your sales. So I showed you how to download from Etsy. So if you have a website or you have Shopify, you can download reports from there as well. If you have any trouble, just do a search. And what you're going to want to do is you want to keep track of what you're doing monthly. If you do it monthly, it just will make things a lot easier for you. And what you can do, a really easy way to do it, is just open up a spreadsheet. And all you want to do, you can do this manually or you can do it on a spreadsheet. I like to do it on a spreadsheet. I just find it a little bit easier. It's not difficult to do these spreadsheets. You can download this Open Office and just open up the Excel. And so what I like to do is I like to put at the top here the months. So once you get about 3 months in there, 3 or 4 months, you can highlight them, and all you do is you hold the left mouse button and drag across it, and then take your left mouse button, click on that little dot, and pull it across. Just like that. Then what you want to do over here in this column is you want to put your revenue. And what's easy for me is I list out the different places that I have sales. That way I can keep track of how I'm doing on each one of these. So then you would just go in and put your amounts in. Just like that. It's very easy to go in here and have it calculate it for you. So you see this little E right here, that means sum. So you would click on that, make sure that the area you wanted is highlighted, and just hit enter. And the next thing you want to do is keep track of your expenses. So this is very simple. This is how you're going to keep up with your accounting. It is not difficult. Do not be overwhelmed by this. It's very simple. So what you're going to do is you're going to put in your expenses for, let's say, your supplies. You could put expenses in, so if you had like a brick and mortar shop, you would want to put in your rent. If you're paying employees, anything that's in your overhead, such as utilities, phone. You can do the same thing if you're at home. So if you're working out of your home, you can still take off a lot of those things. So let's say, so I have a cell phone that is just for my business. So I can write that off. And if you don't have a cell phone that is just for your business, you can estimate the amount of time that you spend on your phone working on your business as opposed to personal. So you don't want to get out of hand with this. You know, if you say that your personal phone is used 100% for business, those are the kinds of things that can get you in trouble with the IRS. So just be reasonable. And when you're estimating, let's say, so I use internet because I'm doing lives. And so I can write off part of my internet. So all I do is I say, well, my bill is $200 a month and 10% of my time is spent using it for business. So I would just take the $200 and I would multiply it by 10%. And there, I can count my internet expenses. So the types of things that you can use for expenses in your business: if you travel and go to a conference, so take for example, there is a wreath conference coming up in Texas. If you are a wreath maker, you can write that off. So you could write off your travel. You can only take half of your meals, but what you want to do is you want to take your bills, your hotel bill, your airfare, or your gas bills, and you want to make sure you have a copy of it for your records. Turn it over and write the business purpose on it, because those are the kinds of things that the IRS is going to be looking for. So anything that you purchase for your company, you're going to be able to write off, such as, let's say you purchase a laptop. Let's say that you purchase a camera. Let's say that you purchase a webcam to do videos. How about your cutting mat? All of those things are business expenses that you can write off. Now, if they're over a certain amount, there is another step that you have to take, but I won't get into that because that's a little bit more complicated. But I just want to tell you that you want to keep track of these every single month, because if you don't, at the end of the year, you're going to be overwhelmed with trying to calculate everything out. Make sure you keep all your receipts. So let's take an example here. So let's say I'm spending $1,500 a month on my supplies. And we'll just, for example purposes, say this is all I have. So I go up here and I hit this sum again. So I can see, if I hit the equal sign, go back up to my revenue, hit the minus sign, go to my expenses, and hit enter. Right there is my profit. So when you have a business, a lot of people worry about what it's going to do to your taxes. So we're going to talk about that. So what you're going to do is you're going to keep track of this monthly. And what the IRS wants you to do is they want you to make quarterly payments. Now, if you're not making a profit, it's not necessary for you to do that. If you are making a profit, what you want to do, and let's just make this right here the same for all 3 months. So if I take these 3 months, and I'm just adding them together, so there's my profit. So what the IRS wants you to do is they want you to take your quarterly profit and they want you to make an estimated tax payment. It's not difficult. There's nothing to be scared of when you're doing this. So the best way to do this is to take your tax rate and multiply it by your profit. If you don't know what your tax rate is, use 20%. So just put in 20% and say, okay, here's my profit. Multiply that by 20%, and that's the amount of tax payments that I need to make to the IRS. So the reason that you want to do this is because you don't want to get to the end of the year and have a lot of profit and you haven't made any tax payments, because if you haven't made any tax payments, they're going to give you a little penalty. It's really easy to do this. So if you go over to the IRS, up here in the search bar, you can put estimated tax payments. And here's the form right here. So it's super easy to fill out. So all you do is you put in your income and then calculate out your tax just like we did. And then you say whether you're going to be paying tax or not. Now this form looks very complicated, but it's really not. You don't have to do this worksheet. You can just put your amounts in here that you're going to pay and use this little form right here. So this little form right here, this 1040 ES, is what you use to make your estimated tax payments. You just put your name in. You would want to put your social security number. You want to put in the amount of the check that you're going to be writing, your address, because you want to make sure that at the end of the year when you file your taxes, they have recorded this. So you can really ignore all this up here. This is a great little thing to keep for yourself so that you can see when you made those payments. So the payments are due approximately 15 days after the end of the quarter. So a quarter would be January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. So at the end of March, you want to have it in by April 15th. At the end of May, you want to have it in by June 15th, so on and so forth. So it's just a really good idea to have this done. Now I know this seems intimidating, but I promise you it's not. You can ignore all of this information up here because it's just the IRS's way of being confusing. You don't need any of that. All you need is this page right here. So you can just print out this page right here. Use this to send in your payments. It tells you where to send it. And that's all you have to do. So you can ignore all this. See, right down here they have all the payment vouchers you can use. So there's quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, and quarter 4. So if you get stuck doing this, you can just let me know and I will help you do it. So that's about as difficult as it gets for the accounting part. And one thing I can tell you is that depending on what website you use, some of them have their own bookkeeping software. You can do that. You can use QuickBooks. It's a very good one. You can use Xero. It's actually Xero. That's a good one. And with those programs, you can actually download information from your bank and you can set parameters up and it will automatically categorize things in different expenses. That's not a requirement. You can do it in a spreadsheet. You can do it if you don't want to deal with a spreadsheet. Just write it down. Keep yourself a little notebook and write down each month. If you're not sure if you can use an expense, just ask me. So that's pretty much it for starting and running your business. We have a lot of fun trainings coming up. Next month we'll be doing Facebook. And I'm sure you will have some questions about this month's training. And we will address all those. So don't feel overwhelmed. Just remember to take it one step at a time.